I keep trying. Every shop I go to, I ask a maker, "Hey, these are really cool skeletons. What are you doing with these? I love to have them in my shop." And the makers are like, "Oh, I don't know. I kind of want to keep them." But anyway, that's beside the point. This is the Bladeology podcast, and we are doing a short episode. So we're doing as much content as possible, and we're going to call these episodes Shop Talk. And basically what we're going to do here is
We can't call them Shop Talk. There's a podcast calling this kind of exact subject Shop Talk. We're going to call it What's in the Shop.
All right, let's call it What's in the Shop. So we're going to call it What's in the Shop, and we're basically going to catch up with what Nick is doing, what Elijah's doing, and what I'm doing between each recording. And they're going to be quick snippets. Just sort of like news blasts,
like 15 to 20 minutes max.
Yeah, just short ones. Again, it's just to keep up regularity. Yeah, like for instance, Nick, what have you been doing this last week? What's up? What are you working on in the shop?
This last week has been hectic since Rob left. I got 10 of the MK1 RC collabs on the bench here. I'm trying to get those ready. Well, there's 9 collabs and one of my knives. Also, I have one knife set aside. Tomorrow is going to be my dad's first training day for folders. Like, he's been working with me for the last year on off part-time, doing all the other products that I have that aren't custom folders, and tomorrow's his first training day for actual customs. That'll be a little interesting. I wrote out a whole booklet of steps for him that he's gonna have to transcribe in Russian after, because the language barrier for some of these terms like shim and detent and frame and stuff like that gets a little tricky. I also have, right now as we're talking, I am actually programming the machine to make clips for my for these MK1 collabs, as well as another knife that I have here. Also designing up the battle songs for the Vegas Classic Knife Show, and you guys hopefully have a couple of those at Vegas. Let's see, is there anything else lying around here? No, just the collabs, my own model, custom battle songs, and the training day for my dad tomorrow. And framing up a knife. Well, that's the one my dad will be framing up. Another collab knife for John Gray for the Vegas Classic Show as well.
Oh, that's awesome! Because you guys, that's right, you did a collab for Kentucky with John.
Yeah, and then we're doing another one because originally it was gonna be 2. We just didn't have time, so I figured that knife, since I'm not grinding and stuff like that, it just needs to be locking and detenting and functioning. I'll have my dad sand the entire perimeter, but I'm gonna do it along with my dad step by step and have him set the lock, the detent, make sure the action works, make sure for smoothness, show him how to center out a frame, and what I'd like to get him to do is to sand the perimeters and clean up the perimeters on the handles and blades on the grinder. And it's a little tricky because most of it's done with a 1/4-inch wheel. So it's a little finicky because if you ever stop, you put a divot into the material. So I got to try to get him to give him like some grinder time, because he's never used the grinder when he has. It hasn't been the best because using a grinder is a little different. He's used to taking the grinding item, the grinder to the item, not the item to the grinder.
Okay, that's really neat that you're incorporating your dad into what you do, and you guys are gonna work together on that. So as far as the John Gray collab goes, is that like a thing? Can we look forward to more NCC X John Gray collabs in the future, or you think that's just sort of like a one-time run, couple of knives?
No, I've known John for 9 years, since the beginning, pretty much. Before, like, when he was just dabbling in knife making. I wasn't knife making at that point yet, though. He's only an hour away from my shop, so an hour and a half or so. We'll be probably doing them for every show, or every time I have a new model, I'll send him a couple blanks and have him make them. As long as he still wants to do them, I still want to do them, we'll do them, and there's no reason to not. He doesn't like setting up the fitment of knives and doing all the counter boring and all the mechanical parts. He just likes to grind shit, and I'm the opposite. I don't like grinding shit. I like grinding shit. I work on 10 knives, 15 knives at a time now, and I don't like to sit there and grind 10 to 15 knives at a time like I have to do right now.
Cool. All right. I mean, so that sounds like a pretty good collab setup then. If he wants to grind and you want to do the mechanicals, then that's awesome.
Yeah. Oh, and I also
an ongoing series of collabs. You never know.
Yeah. It's not just the battle songs I'm doing for the Vegas Classic. I'm jumping between battle songs and slip joints. Uh-oh. So battle songs are a priority, and then I'll probably have some slip joints though with me. So we'll see what I bring to the Vegas Classic. But I'll be there.
That's exciting. All right.
Yeah, I'll be at SHOT Show. I don't know if I'll be. I'll be there during TKI. I don't know if I'll be attending TKI though. So gotta figure that out.
Yeah,
you
but
should.
you'll be around.
Yeah, I'll either be partying while you guys are at TKI, or I'll settle. I'll bite the bullet and get that $250 TKI ticket.
There we
Yeah,
go.
which gets you the $30 VIP pass free. So
That's right.
I don't need that VIP pass. I got exhibitor pass.
Incredible savings.
Yeah.
Elijah, what about you? What have you been up to this week, man?
not too much with the holidays, but I have designed one complete folder since I got back. It's a little departure from my norm. I think you've seen it. I didn't. I showed you, right? I sent it to you. A picture.
Oh,
It's
I
kind
think you
of,
did. Yeah. Oh,
kinda-
wait. The one with the zero space in the back. The blade edge is like super close to the backspacer.
Yeah, it's incredibly tight tolerances.
Oh my god. Yeah, it is.
It's a front flipper. It's like a 3-inch. It's very different than a lot of my other stuff. It's very linear, a lot of straight lines, not too many curves. Usually, whenever I get a design done, I usually think, oh, well, I need to do the exact opposite from what I just did. So, just did a curvaceous one. So now it's time for a linear kind of brutalist, like minimal little steak knife kind of deal. But
No, I haven't seen it, but you're not worried about it being like I haven't seen how close it is to the spacer, but you're not worried about just the flex of the mechanism, having it like people slam it closed or squeeze it
Mhm.
closed, having it
Well,
dull
this
out
is just
and hit
the,
back spacer.
just the first variant of it, so it will likely change. It does have a
So
full
how do you guys figure
backspacer.
that out? You guys they make you a prototype and then you adjust from there, or do they kind of just
No,
have their?
we usually go over the 3D,
perimeters?
and then I'll usually go through like 3 or 4 iterations in 2D CAD first, and then once it's taken to the 3D, we can really see how it's going to function. But it's got a full length backspacer right now, but it is really tight. It's like maybe 15 thousandths of clearance.
Yeah, I say it looks really good. I like the style of the front flipper the most out of this model than a couple of your previous models. I hesitate to ask, but have you named it yet, or are you on the track for a name?
It is not named yet. That's going to be
Unnamed.
that takes a while. That's actually sometimes it can take longer than designing the knife itself. It's coming up with a name.
Huh.
But yeah, wanted to go off a different style a little bit.
I gotcha.
Get on my
So now
wheelhouse.
When you're designing something like this, just totally out of curiosity, are you already? Do you think about manufacturing when you're designing it, or are you just designing it saying, "I've got to work this design out, and I'll worry about who's going to make it later," or do you design it going, "I want to challenge a manufacturer to make this"?
Yeah, see, that's the thing. I'm almost never thinking about who's going to make it. I'm thinking about it now that it's finished, and who could possibly do it, or if maybe I could even OEM it myself. But when I'm doing a design, I'm in the thick of it. I never think about that. Like how I never even think about usually how it can be made, because I usually go by the profile and the form of it first, and then go back and figure out the internals and all the mechanics of the thing.
That's
I
so
gotcha.
backwards.
Yeah, I do it
That's
completely
like
backwards.
how I do things. I usually start with the lock, the triangle of the lock, the
Yeah.
pivot hole,
Well,
the
I mean,
hole, and stop in, and then I design life around that.
yeah, most people do. Like most people get their parameters down and their measurements, and that's one reason why you see a lot of linear looking knives is because everybody goes off the same format. And I was even told by Jason Stout once that like, oh, you have to design the knife around the mechanics, around the internals. But I work in the exact opposite. Because
I'd imagine you have a lot of designs that aren't finished because, like, once you went to the actual mechanism, it doesn't really fit.
Oh yeah, that's a real pain.
I'd imagine
Then
that's
you
what
get
happened
a
with the
design.
Black Star. Just you went back and it's like, oh, this won't work, and it became a slip joint.
Yeah, with the Black Star, I went through. Well, most of my designs go through like at least 5 to 10 different variations before it will even function. But yeah, basically just everything starts out as a fixed blade, and then
Well, I mean that kind of makes sense. Though you start from the purest level of your idea, and with no compromise, work down from your ultimate idea to something that does function in the real world.
yeah, you basically have to. You start with the art, and then I guess you bring in the engineering, and then kind of force it to exist. And in real life, so yeah. But yeah, just that one design I've been working on for the past few days. Just got it finished up a couple days ago.
On the side note, I found my Black Star.
Oh,
You
thankfully,
did?
there we go.
Yep.
Where was the thing?
Yeah, where was it?
It fell behind one of my tables in the shop, And the only reason I found it was because I dropped a very important custom screw behind the table, so I had to move out the whole table. That took like a good hour because it's a table that I put into place with 3 people. So I had to use the pallet jack and like shimming wood under it to actually move the table. It was interesting, but I
Nice.
got
You know,
the
to be
screw end
saying a
of
lot
least you
too,
found it.
because Nick's shop is extremely clean and organized. So if he loses something there, it's like almost surprising. Like it's,
Well,
I've seen a lot of
there's
shops.
two
Your
spots where I
shop
could lose
is very
something.
organized. Like it's
Well,
impressive.
well, yeah, I have shop OD. I just like when everything's in place in the shop. And my house and everything else, not really. Just the shop. There's a lot of tools. And I like to keep them in their spot. But there's 2 tables that I should just not to check there. I just didn't remember the knife being in that area where because all the tables have pegboard behind them, but 2 of them don't. So things could fall behind them, and then behind that is a crack between the wall and the floor, and shit just falls and goes missing over there. I didn't expect the whole knife to go missing over there. That's usually screws, and there's probably a good like $100 in titanium screws and pivots behind that crack.
Oh boy.
Like once a year, I should go there with a vacuum and kind of vacuum it out, and then see what comes out of there.
Black Star recovered.
Yep. I'm glad you
Yes.
found it though. That's good.
I got it as a wonderful gift from Elijah that went missing after 4 days of carry, and then found like 2 months later.
Yeah, pretty much thought you had lost that forever. I thought you threw it away accidentally.
I was upset when I thought I lost it because I like carrying it.
Hmm
And I was like, shit.
I gotta say, I've carried it, since I got it from you, and I really have to respect the size of the knife more than I ever did because it's always so concealable inside my watch pocket.
That's what I designed it for, is the watch pocket carry.
Like I've been carrying it
Slip
side
right
by
in.
side with my SOCOM, and it's still like
hmm
I don't know. It's great.
I need to get a
Just sits there.
logging version going.
I mean, I'm sure they're I'm a fan. Do it.
Yeah, because I mean, I'm almost not a fan of the slip joint, but it just kind of had to work that way.
Yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of the D10 slip joint. I like a traditional slip joint. Like for example, I cut a lot of cardboard, and whenever I pull that thing out of cardboard, it wants to close.
Yeah, like I love slip joints, traditional slip joints, but again, it's like so tight in there. The internals were so tight that it had to be detent driven. So,
Well, I gotta take mine apart and try to over torque the springs like to the limit.
oh,
and
you
see
can.
how that does.
There's just one. On the next version, I'm probably gonna do 2.
Oh, I thought there were
One on
2.
each side.
Yeah, one on each side. So it's gonna have a
Huh.
detent on one side in the closed position, and then 2 detents on each side in the open to make it stiffer.
Oh wow. Okay.
You know, it's the one that I had was designed on one each side because for balance, so it doesn't push over one way, kind of like the matte diskin folders.
As a
Uh,
put, other than the one design I finished up, I'll mention that I did 3 projects I just finished, but I can't really say anything about them. One went off to get 3D rendered and 3D printed, and I'll have that at SHOT Show. If you're there, come find me. I might show you if you say the right things. And 2 projects I just finished, I also can't talk about until later, but they're pretty interesting.
Since it's AVN, he's essentially looking for a hand job offer. And then you get to see it.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
sure.
Getting
There we go.
there. I've got to say,
I'm
I've
pretty
seen
sure
some
they're
of these
gonna
projects. They look
Go
great.
through a metal detector. Yeah.
Wow.
But yeah, 2 projects that I'm excited about that will happen in 2019.
Very
So
cool.
stay tuned.
It's going to be a banner year, I'm sure.
Okay. Now, Jeremiah, anything new with PVK? You guys got anything new in? Any deals? Any stuff?
This was actually a pretty banner week for us. The holidays tend to be an incredibly busy time. Obviously, people out there buying knives. For projects I've been working on, I'm developing a new shop shirt that I will have ready for SHOT Show and TKI. I'm working
Nice.
with the artist who did some of our past print ads to try to get a new shirt and I think a hoodie going. Because I think a hoodie would be a nice adjunct to a t-shirt. New patches and new stickers are also on the way. Need more stuff to give away with all of our knives. I got an awesome delivery from Randy Doucette, who is a Canadian knife maker who's been working here for, a long time. But he recently started doing bally songs again. I'm not going to claim it was by my request, but it might have been urged by my interest. And
It definitely catalyzed it, I'm sure.
it is a possibility. Actually, Cliff had a couple of his knives, and I was like, oh man, these are great. And he put me in contact with him, but we got 2 Tonto Randy Doucette's in this week, and I gotta say, they're gorgeous. He did a knockout job. The ears are very aggressive, but they're scale on frame valleys, sandwich style construction, using the classic lightning strike carbon fiber. So I don't know. I thought they turned out great. I was really happy. Nailed the photography on them. They look great.
Yeah, Randy makes some wicked looking knives.
Oh man, they're super neat. Like if you've never held one in person, they're a sum of their parts. I mean, they're tight, they're clean. He executes the final product extremely well. I gotta say, yep, very impressed with his work.
Nice.
Yeah, he's done one of some of my goal grinds. Like I've always had a goal. I wanted to make a dagger, but I wanted to make a dagger kind of ground like my Tantos, the compound, like Bobolum Tanto compound grind. So, but I wouldn't do it as a compound. I mean, as a dagger. So, at the tip there would be 4 arcs meeting, and with my OCD on how those arcs meet, I just feel like it's gonna kill me grinding that knife and making sure all 4 of those arcs meet up right. So probably gonna make a fixed blade like that, not a folder. But he's the only other person who I've actually seen do that compound style grind on a dagger like that, with Japanese Tanto-esque but mirrored. I guess I don't really know how to even describe it, but it's a pretty complex.
On his folder, I know the grind you're talking about. It's an amazing grind. No, he absolutely he nails the apex perfectly. Yeah, I'm not really sure how he does that. We should have him on the podcast if he's willing.
Absolutely, yeah. Just years of practice, I suppose.
Yeah, I guess that's probably it.
Learn by doing.
Yeah. Other than that, we got mention. Great...
I want to say you mentioned a PBK challenge coin. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, why not? So we're working on we've been trying to get this working on an anniversary challenge coin for PBK. So I'm trying to get a standard size challenge coin. Each face would be an original piece of artwork commemorating our anniversary, which is coming up the fall of 2019. We got a few months to nail this and get this minted, and hopefully have it ready for Blade Show, or if not USN. So we'll have a home turf advantage.
Yeah, there we go. USN.
That long to make challenge coins?
Well, it's not the process of manufacturing isn't necessarily the hard part. The process is nailing down like a design that I feel comfortable with. Like each print ad I do, like I probably go through 2 or 3 different artists, like trying to figure out like an idea that works and that's clear and has like a direct message, and then we can, we can do it as a collaboration. So a coin is something that's like even more permanent than a print ad. So I would definitely want to make sure that we're working with the right person who can really do very detailed line work and is familiar with the style, because I talked to some of the artists that I have on file now, and I was like, what do you think about doing a challenge coin? And the ideas are very cool, but when you take someone's idea and you make it the size of a challenge coin, which for listeners, if you're not aware, it's basically like relatively the size of a JFK $50, a design loses a lot of value when it's that size, unless you're very familiar with doing detailed line work. So yeah, I want to make sure we have the right thing. And I want to give myself plenty of time for the project, and be able to deliver in time. So yeah, it's definitely an ongoing thing. If there's anybody listening and you're interested in getting down on that, or a tattoo artist, or know somebody who just happens to be familiar with minting coins, feel free to shoot me an email and reach out, because that'd be cool. Love to see what's on deck.
Oh, gotcha. I actually have an RMJ challenge coin right next to me from like 2015. Looking at it now, yeah, some details don't go through, especially because you're stamping it through and not drawing it or lasering it.
Right, exactly. So I mean, a lot of those small details are like I'm a huge fan. This is a shameless plug. I'm a huge fan of the Dead on Paper work of his Fate coin, the Yes No. I know you guys have seen. I carry that all the time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like that art is specifically designed for a challenge coin. It's like amazingly detailed. It just looks so good, and like that's what I want to do. I want to make something that's incredibly good, where people look at it and they're like, "Wow, this is great!" Like I don't want to just throw the PBK logo on there and call it even. Like that's lame. I want to do it over the top.
Yeah, like stark simplicity. It has to be the perfect design to commemorate the anniversary. So you want to get something good.
No idea what coin you're talking about. You should send me a picture.
It's Yes No coin.
Yeah, the Yes No.
The bar in Brooklyn that night at Wheelers. He was flipping it all night.
Look, 90% of the time we're together, we're hammered. So like, I don't really remember. I remember some coin now, but I don't remember what it looks like.
I think it's even in photographic evidence of the Chris Bell song that you
Oh
did.
yeah, it's exactly.
Yeah.
It's in the famous picture of the.
Oh,
I want to say it's an old fashioned with the Chris blade and the
you
coin.
still
But
have.
yeah, that's
Definitely an
I
old
remember this one.
fashioned.
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay. Yeah. I remember this now.
Yeah, it's on my Instagram. Yeah.
yeah. That's what I've been working on this week. Trying to get
Nice.
that stuff done, trying to pile it on there, and inevitably getting ready for the show, as I know we all are.
Oh yeah, getting pumped.
Yep.
These shows. There's going to be multiple shows, multiple knife shows, multiple other shows, and all kinds of tomfoolery.
So in the next week, we're gonna post up this episode, everybody. But in the next week, we're gonna be doing interviews with the three of us. We'll be doing the PVK interview. We'll be doing Elijah's interview, and we'll be doing Nick's interview. And we're gonna post up some pictures on Instagram. And if y'all have questions that you want to ask us individually, that we will answer on the podcast, jump on our Instagram, which is Bladeology Podcasts, and throw it in the comments, DM us, email us, however, get at us with your questions. We'll be scheduling all these recordings for the next 3 weeks, so everybody will have plenty of time to get your comments and your questions out there for the three of us, and we will answer them on the podcast. Guys?
Well,
Sounds good, man.
Do we? I think we have to mention some stuff considering because our second episode we're scrapping. We got to mention the whole thing with the Instagram and I think we have to go over that again.
All right, yeah, let's do it.
Yeah. So we don't because we scrapped the second episode. Some things might have to overlap here. So the podcast on Instagram is called Bladeology Podcast. And like you said, just let us know on any of the photos there in the comments what makes you guys interview and some sort of generic questions you like to see from makers, so we could build up this dialogue, and that'll just give us more content to talk about. Questions for us, questions for other makers, topics to talk about, and short segments to talk about, like these episodes that we could have just kind of weekly or bi-weekly 15-minute episodes that are just to get more content out there.
Yeah, if you have any questions, definitely go to the Instagram and fill them in there, because that will be a good format for us to go and check them out for the Q&A episodes.
And all three of us run that Instagram, so all of us would see it, or send us a DM if you don't want to leave it in the comments there. But all three of us run it, so we'd all see it.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the best way to get at us. We're very active on Instagram. We do have an email, bladeologypodcast@gmail.com, if you're into that. Either way, we're going to see what you've got for us, and we're going to answer those on the podcast, and we're going to get some awesome makers on here ASAP. We will be doing R3, and then we have the Vegas show, but we've got some really cool people lined up. We've been talking to them for the last month. A lot of people are very excited to get on here and chat with us about what they do and how they do it and what makes them special and how they do it. So it's definitely going to be a fun ride, and I'm looking forward to doing it with everybody. That's all I've got. So I'm going to say Jeremiah out.
I will say one last thing I was wanting to let everybody know about, non-knife related. I just recently watched a documentary on Netflix called The Struggle. It's about one of my favorite artists, sculptor, Polish sculptor from the turn of the century. His name was Stanislaw Stukowski. And if you are interested in that kind of thing, definitely go check that out, because it's pretty inspirational. Elijah out.